Set!
3, 2, 1.
What's going on, Philly? Back again for another revamped episode of Drunk on Broad. Thanks for tuning in with us. I am your host, Rich Conroy, alongside my main brother, my co-host and producer,
Oscar Cordova. What it do?
formerly known as Oscar Miguel, but for tax reasons, he had to change his name. Something Wesley Snipes didn't understand and couldn't do enough time as Oscar could.
Just to make it sure, I am not running away from the IRS.
Just ex-girlfriends.
Just ex-girlfriends.
Welcome back, and thank you for joining us. Oscar, always a good time.
What it do, though?
Cheers, mates.
So welcome back. This is kind of a new revamped. We're no longer doing it how we used to do it before. We want to first and foremost apologize for how awful that podcast was.
Awful would be like an understatement if we could just, eat hot trash like laced with baby shit, because that's how terrible it was. Our focus and where our direction was in the right place, but we tried to get a little too serious with it in the beginning, and then we wound up just getting not serious at all. Talking about Game of Thrones, which was trash.
And then we're not talking about Game of Thrones in this podcast ever again. That's just a show that's never going to be talked about.
Yeah, I don't even want to discuss any of that nature. So we are going to stick to our views on Philly sports and give you our opinions. We're not going to do any of the hot takes yet. You'll see in a segment coming up in the following weeks. We are going to have a few guests join us, which will be nice. People who are accredited, who have been around professional sports. So please tune in to see those interviews and to witness it. But again, it's not going to be a real interview. It's going to be more of a conversation piece. We're not hot button guys. I'm not going to be drilling these people who come on. They're coming on out of the graces of their heart because we're too poor to pay anybody. We also are trying to find a song so we don't get sued. So once we find all that stuff out, everything will be good. But today's show is going to be a nice quick one. And we hope you enjoy it, and we hope you come back, because next week we are going to be bringing in a few more guests. We definitely have one lined up. We're going to have another one, hopefully, once I send this video to them and they realize that we're not completely full of shit and we're actually okay and know what we're talking about. But if they do think we're full of shit, that's Oscar's problem. That's not mine.
That's definitely my problem. But also, count of getting people with credibility and actual knowledge. We're also trying to get the the views of the fans and the people on the streets. So every once in a while, you might see our friends. You might get Nick K back in here once in a while. Spew some facts on us. Tell us what he thinks about whatever happened in the past
We will not be able to get Tasso Mitzes due to CTE and concussion issues. He is not a football player. He is a carpenter who is really bad at swinging a hammer. Go Philly local. You got yourself a wiener.
Support your union.
Support your union. So, Oscar, what have you been doing since COVID? Like, what's been going on? Haven't really seen you much. I haven't been out and about, willy-nilly.
I think we've seen ourselves, since March twice.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 times, tops.
Picking up food at the restaurant, and I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah, seriously.
I don't go anywhere.
If anything, you could catch me, just staying at home waiting to do nothing.
What do you any good movies before we dive into the
movie-wise?
Any shows?
Actually, show-wise, I just started watching The Boys.
Oh my god, dude!
The first episode cracked me up. I don't know if I was supposed to laugh.
It's so good
When the girl got blasted away by that dude. I just started.
Spoiler alert!
I'm sorry. I just started cracking up so hard. And then I realized that she was dead. Then I was like, oh, I guess that's a
He's just holding hands. It's amazing.
I was like,
it's so good.
I literally had to rewind because there was a point where I was just like, did I miss something important? Did I just skip? Did I press a brief?
They dive so fucking hard into that show in the beginning. It's so good.
But other than that, I finished watching this show called Ozark. It's really good.
Nice on Netflix. Jason Bateman.
Yeah, definitely. Started getting into Schitt's Creek.
Oh my god, dude! So funny.
So funny.
Shout out Jamie Lamb for that one.
Yeah, seriously.
Appreciate that.
That was a really good recommendation.
Hilarious.
David might be my favorite.
Oh my god, dude!
Character
he's
ever.
Great.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
So
when he's trying to pick what type of wine he's into. He's into multiple kinds of wines. But how about yourself? What TV shows, movies have you been getting into?
Man, so Dino Dana is pretty much outplayed a lot around the house.
I walked in to that show being played.
I have a 2-year-old, for those who don't know.
For reference,
for reference, I'm not watching 9-year-old Canadian dinosaur kid shows. I mean, if I am, don't judge me. If you are, that's your problem.
And like the production value of it is
so much better than anything American.
It's crazy.
So good.
The CGI and the way they make these dinosaurs look like they're playing with this girl is absolutely mental.
It's pretty cool.
It's like the Ice Age CGI, like the Sabretooth from Ice Age, but like realer and like she could play with it. It was so cool to watch. It's like Game of Thrones. You really could have. Never mind.
We're just kidding.
Not going into that.
But just hanging out with my 2-year-old. We watched, like I said, down in Dana. We watched all Jurassic Parks. Recently, what me and the wifey have picked up is we watched The Haunting of Bly Manor, which was an atrocity in itself. If you're looking for scary, it's not scary. It's a really sad love story. Don't watch it. It was pathetic. Hubby Halloween, I thought that was hilarious.
I can't wait to watch that.
I was cracking up. But other than that, dude, like nothing much. Just like reruns, Schitt's Creek, and just whatever he wants to watch. Yeah. I'm not really big into sitting there. A lot of podcasts, a lot of fantasy football stuff. We're in a fantasy football league, but we digress, and that's pretty much our COVID recap. We're going to dive right in. So, Oscar, it's a big week for us Eagles fans. A little background on Oscar. He's actually a Ravens fan.
All right.
If he could blow Joe Flacco, it would be done by now.
All the time.
Sorry, Joe. I know you won't hear that, but that's the truth.
Facts.
But in our group chat, we've slowly been converting him to an Eagles fan, and we obviously have seen what's been going on with the season. We're all in constant communication talking about how we feel. I feel like absolute horseshit just over the season. I've tried to sit and watch every game diligently without wanting to stab my eyes out with a rusty spoon, but I can't do it because it's just been that hard. And I don't think it's necessarily Carson Wentz's problem. I don't think it's necessarily coaching. I believe it's just when you have a bad organization overall and you have a bad team on a short COVID season, there's not really much that you can do. You kind of just take your lumps and hopefully you can figure it out. So hopefully this week against a beat-up Dallas team, starting, I forget his name, Iannucci, an Italian Texan, which is pretty funny. He probably won't be accepted down there for much longer, especially if he loses a game, that we should be able to feast. And, Oscar, I don't know if you saw the news today about Dallas, but they're having a fire sale. Yeah, everyone must go. That's including you, bitch.
But I guess, that kind of shows the mentality, though, I feel like, even though they're in first place, still considered, right?
I believe the Eagles are in first place.
But all things considering, anyone in that division who is in first place shouldn't be in first place because it's been awful football.
Yeah, Eagles are number one because of the tie. Then you have Washington, who's also an atrocious football team. So, shout out Coach Ron Rivera for his last stage of cancer. That's awesome.
Definitely did see that. That was good news.
I love seeing that. I am not one of those people who say, just because you don't, you're not an Eagles fan and you play on the other team, fuck you. I mean, Greg Hardy, fuck you. Yeah, I'll say that.
There's a few. Then they say,
there's a few of them.
You.
But, it's a great story. But then you have the Cowboys who sit at 2-5, who are abysmal, especially now losing Andy Dalton due to that hit by Jonathan Bostic, which Dan Orlovsky and Ryan Clark won over. You played football. Not at a collegiate level, but in high school, Oscar played football. So we're not going to say we're experts on the matter. But even as just being friends, you're out there and you're doing something, and say your friend just gets sucker punched. You're not going to just stand there and be like, I'm just going to sit here and just let my buddy get sucker punched.
Nah.
Then you take that to an NFL team and you watch John Bostic. He was sliding. He led with his helmet, but he hit him with his shoulder. But for the fact of no one standing up for him, you have a bitch-made Dallas team that already has given up. At week 7, have given up. I mean, you saw when they played Arizona. Mm-hmm. Andy Dalton threw a bad interception. I think it was Dre Kirkpatrick who pushed CeeDee Lamb down, but still caught it. You saw they came out of the locker room flat. Just gave up. Kenyon Drake had like a 68-yard touchdown run, untouched at the end of the game. That just shows you that Dallas is... One, their coaching staff is atrocious. Their owner is slave driver Jerry, who doesn't care about anybody but himself. And then you have Dak Prescott, who get well soon. It sucks. I watched that injury live.
Yeah,
it was disgusting. I never want to see anything like that. But you see a team that is, they don't give a fuck about each other. Like, I'm not playing for a team. And now they're having a fire sale getting rid of Dontario Poe and Worley and whoever else, and they shipped out Everson Griffin. You have a team who doesn't give a fuck about anybody but themselves. Like, that's not a team. That's like
literally you lost the locker room. There's no passion anymore. The coaching is 100% responsible for that.
Where are your leaders?
Yeah.
Like, where's your Zeke Elliott's, your Van Der Esch's, your Sean Lee's?
But then it kind of goes to how old is the Ezekiel Elliott's?
Yeah.
It's like these are players that they could wear the captain's armband once in a while or the patch. But I don't think they're actual captain material when you.
No, they're just absolute horseshit. That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yeah, so definitely, it looks like what has to be done in Dallas and probably the Eagles as well is a revamp of the culture.
Yeah, I can see that.
Definitely get some players in there that don't want to play for the name in front of the jersey, not the one in the back.
Yeah, and that's my whole thing is with. I'm just going to get off of Dallas because just Dallas fucking sucks. Like, I'll never want to see Dallas succeed being a fan. I didn't like the people who were getting on our boy Gio because he sent a well wishes video and Barstool wrote that down. That's one thing I'll discuss later. But, as Eagles fans, you try to be compassionate to a nature because we have such a bad rap. But then you look how we're played through other cities and other bullshit. It's just annoying. Like, I'm sick of that. But when it comes down to the Eagles culture, you have guys like Alshon Jeffrey who are snitches, who snitched to Justina Anderson about, I'm not happy here. Carson Wentz doesn't target me. He only loves Zach Ertz. And that connection between him and Zach Ertz seemed to be lost this year. I don't know if Carson's trying to spread the ball around. Honestly, I'm not too sure if Zach was just upset because of the contract dispute because he wants to be renewed even though he's got 2 years left and he wants more money. I'm not paying him more money. I'm sorry, that's just not happening.
Yeah.
But for guys like Djax and Alshon who are perennially hurt, who contributed, Djax contributed to the team, 2012, 13, 14 when he was here? That's his largest contributor. It's the miracle at the Meadowlands.
Yeah.
And Alshon in the Super Bowl. Thank you. I appreciate your service. Goodbye. I don't owe you anything. And as an organization as a whole, Howie just loves dick riding these old vets. Because he thinks that they owe him. He owes
I guess
them
you have the nostalgia feeling when you sign those players. DJ came back 2 years ago?
Yeah, and played 4 games so far.
Yeah, and it's just kind of like you gotta start scouting these players. You gotta start going through medicals and being like, hey, look, this guy is definitely not up.
Only people
anymore.
we sign are guys who are always hurt.
Yeah.
And then you look at, so as an organization and the structure, that you see guys who leave like Sidney Jones, who's the number 2 in Jacksonville, no pressure. He can play ball, he can ball out, he can do whatever he wants. Rasul Douglas, same thing. Number 2 on Carolina, cornerback, balls out, no pressure. And then you got Darby, who's actually having a decent year with Washington, one of their bright shining points. Not saying he's having a great year, but he's not having a terrible year. You see these guys leave and be successful elsewhere. Could you contribute that to culture, or do we contribute to people can't play in Philly because we expect them to fucking ball out? What do you think?
Again, that's completely not my expertise, but honestly.
But just saying, what do you think as a metaphorically, I think that, and literally, I think that the city of Philadelphia is the hardest to play in because when you got Twitter fingers like Jalen Reagor and Quan Wallace did this year and saying shit and calling out fans when not doing anything, you expect people to be like, it's okay, sweetheart, you're going to be fine. It's like, grow the fuck up.
It is, and you are a professional athlete. You are.
It shouldn't matter what city you play in.
It shouldn't matter what city you play in. It is true, but at the same time, you got to go through what's going on with their family life as well. Philadelphia, they're probably traveling 40 minutes to get to Philadelphia because a lot of them aren't living inside of Philadelphia.
Give a shit if your family life and what's you're out there to play fucking football.
It's true.
If you're getting $26 million guaranteed like Alshon did, you're out there playing fucking football.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Now he's hurt with a calf injury.
Yeah.
And then you got guys who are constantly fucking hurt.
But then it goes back to the age-old question: can you actually blame the money on the players? Is it more towards where the game went towards, where there's this crazy amount of contracts, and because you have one great year,
you get ball, you get bank, like, which makes no sense. I think in the NFL you have to prove yourself. It's like the Albert Hainsworth effect. You give him that record deal, and I think he played like 2 games for Washington after that. Stole $48 million. It's amazing. Like, it's amazing what one year can do. And this is why a lot of guys aren't getting paid.
Can you blame the player? Exactly. Like, can you blame the current players who are way overpaid of the market that they were paid in?
No.
But then at the same time...
But I expect results.
You expect results, yes. And I agree with the sentiment. It just is a tough thing to kind of go through a professional athlete's mind when it gets to that, especially when you've been hurt.
Nelson Aguilar, look what he's doing in Vegas.
But then now look at that in Vegas. He is doing way better he's ever done.
Yeah, he's killing it.
So is that coaching, or is that?
I think it's coaching, and it's Vegas. Nobody gives a shit if you're successful.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, you go to Vegas, a new startup franchise. It's there for money and attraction. People from Las Vegas aren't going to go to the games, but the people who are traveling there on the long weekends go, hey, Bucks are playing the Raiders. Should be a good game.
Somebody will have bachelor parties.
Yeah, somebody's going to have a bachelor party. You're going to go to Vegas, and it's going to be wrapped in with, all right, we're going to go see the Eagles play the Raiders. It's going to be nuts, and then we're going to go out for a night in town. Vegas did it right.
Yeah.
Because they're relying on the people who are commuting and traveling to purchase football tickets. I mean, they'll probably have some season ticket holders who are going to be the casinos, who are going to give them the high rollers. Mm-hmm. That's just the way it's going to be, which is completely fine. And they already have like a sports betting thing in the stadium. So it's just another reason to get people out there. But you have a guy like Nelson Aguilar, who is a head case, who would, I think, have burner accounts on Twitter just to stick up for himself because mentally he couldn't do it himself.
Yeah.
But I think that's also the problem with athletes who are in Philly. Is that they don't stick up for themselves. They just say, "Oh, keep the same energy, fans. Oh, yeah, be there with us when we're losing. You're not going to be there when we're winning." Yo, fuck that. You know what you need to tell these fans? I'm gonna ball the fuck out, prove you wrong, and you guys are gonna shut the fuck up.
Which is what you would hope an athlete.
What you would hope them no one's gonna come at me and be like, "Yo, dude, Rich, I know you're like the rookie free safety on the Eagles, and you're gonna go out there and talk shit." I'll be like, "Motherfucker, I made it. You didn't. I'm going to ball out, and then I'm going to at you and just ruin your life because you want to give me shit." You need to be tough. Yeah. I'm not saying, like, we're extremely hard on our athletes in every single sport, and we're very quick to turn.
Yeah, definitely one of the more passionate.
But we love you when you produce.
Which is why a lot of people do love coming here in the first place. Is once you do, you're revered and you're basically an idol.
And I think that's the problem. You get guys from small market teams who come here and go, "Well, we never even had fans out in the stadium, and if it was you guys. I would love to play for this. I would love the scrutiny because I want to be recognized, good or bad. Getting their name out there makes them look better." So you get these guys from, say, like the San Diego teams who are just, who the hell's watching the Chargers. I mean, they should now, but who's watching the Padres? I mean, they're decent now, but you look at like some of these franchises who just don't have fans, and it's like, well, I'd rather play for the Eagles. I'd rather play for teams that are going to give me shit, but who are going to fucking revere me if I like. Brandon Graham will never pay for another drink in the city again with the strip sack of Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Neither will Nick Foles. Yeah. Alshon was on that level until he did all his bitch-made shit.
Dude, I think the funniest thing about Nick Foles is that he's still he's like basically a god here.
I can't believe people really want him over Carson Wentz. That's just another story.
That's another
he is atrocious. Yeah. I'm sorry, Nick Foles sucks.
He is.
He won us the Super Bowl because everything lightning in a bottle. Fantastic. He freaking stinks. All right, we don't even need to have this conversation. But back to my thoughts on Dallas this week. I believe the Eagles are going to romp them. I think the Eagles need to make a statement at home against a third-string quarterback on a team that's doing a fire. You embarrass them. I don't want to see Doug doing this. Let's take the foot off the gas pedal. You step on their necks. You kill them. You make that front office reevaluate every single move they made this offseason, whether it be coaching, free agency, or people that they might want to pay on this team, and you show them that you have a team full of losers. We're here to kill you, and I hope it's at least 48-3.
But
48-3. My man Hightower is going to catch 2 long bombs, going to embarrass him, and he's going to be the next big name in the Dallas Eagles rivalry. And that's what I think. I think Carson's going to ball out. Hopefully Miles Sanders is out there.
So let's say you have a Eagles player in your fantasy team. Do you start him?
Who are we talking about?
Talk about Carson Wentz.
Oh, hell yeah, you start Carson Wentz.
Right.
There's none. I'm against that defense. Yeah, I mean, all right. So you look at it this way: Dallas 2 weeks ago when they played the Cardinals. I think it was no quarterback has ever beaten a team without completing like less than 10 completions, or like a blowout win without less than 10 completions. Kyler Murray was 9 for 22. That's insane.
Yeah,
he was like 38% passing, and he's a very accurate guy. But he did not have a good game, and they still beat them handedly.
Yeah,
it was
true.
Ridiculous. So I mean, I'm firing up every single Eagle I can. Dallas Goedert's coming back this week. Hopefully, I mean, he was just designated to return, so he has 21 days. We have our boy Jalen Reagor coming back. I'm super excited about at TCU. I feel that he hasn't gotten his right share from fans, because if anybody watched TCU and saw their true freshman quarterback throwing to him, they would see that it wasn't Reagor's fault that he put up numbers with a quarterback who was 16% passer. So that's tough. But I do think that Dallas is going to get destroyed. I can't wait to watch it. And it will make my Sunday night. So hopefully we'll go into this, and
so that's your prediction. Then?
I'm honestly, my real prediction, I was saying 48-3, but I think it's going to be more or less like 37-10 Eagles. I think it's just going to be one of those things where Doug's going to be like, yo,
37-10.
We're going to pull everybody with like 6 minutes left, and then you're going to see Tony Pollard come in, bust like a 70-yard rush, and everybody like goes like this.
I mean, the run game definitely has to kill the Cowboys this week. I mean,
you have to.
Like, they're so open.
They just traded their defensive, their best defensive lineman, Everson Griffin, who hasn't performed. Randy Gregory's back, but it's only one bong hit until he's gone.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad that they cut marijuana out of the CBA agreement, but free Josh Gordon.
Yeah, seriously, that was my boy.
But you look at it this way: the Eagles' strengths to the Dallas weaknesses just overmatch them. They want to run the ball.
Yeah.
We have probably the best defensive line in football, with Hargraves, Cox, Graham, Barnett's actually playing decent. Vinny Curry is in there. Josh Sweat. So, I mean, we should be fine. And I think that if we handle Zeke and we handle Tony, we'll be all right. I mean, they have weapons, but imagine if Carson had those weapons. Oof. But I don't even want to get into that, because it's not Carson's fault. It's just not. And people who want to blame Carson for having a bad year, you go out there with a bunch of guys on the practice squad with no preseason, a limited training camp, and try to throw to these guys. These guys weren't even on the roster. And then they have to come in, they have to learn an offense, learn a playbook. Half these guys, they don't even know how to run a route correctly. And we're in week 7, and the team is starting to turn. If you watched the game last week, when I watched a bunch of passing plays, when things broke down, everybody stood still. Nobody could move. Because I don't think they know how to. I think that's something that has to be taught. When a play breaks down, you got to move. These guys were just standing there.
I saw one play last week. I forget who was the center or the guard that was basically let Carson get sacked, and I just...
Oh, my God. You're talking about the Baltimore game?
Yeah.
With Jamon Brown?
Yeah, Jamon
and come
Brown.
on.
There you go.
Jamon Brown literally fixed his gloves in between plays. Then after the game, threw up the 3 with Lamar Jackson, because he knew he was going to be cut off of that terrible performance. He got his moment to shine. He's like, yo, I got to get a picture with this dude. Let me throw up the 3.
Lamar Jackson, I mean, why wouldn't you get a picture with him?
Yeah, I know. We'll save that for your Baltimore podcast. Drunk at the harbor.
Let's move on from this, though. All right, Rich, let's kind of go towards the 5 things that are pissing you off about Eagles or Philly sports in general.
1, so we'll start at number 5. So 5, I would say the hate for Carson Wentz is pissing me off. I am a Negadelphian by trade. If you ever met my father, well, I'll get him on the podcast one day. That'd be hilarious. That would be, oh my fucking God. It would be fucking nuts. But I would say the hate for Carson Wentz. He hasn't been that bad. You try to go out there, and like I just said, throw to those guys, in a shortened season with COVID. Oh my God, his interceptions are up. He's trying to make plays. I don't blame the guy. If my team was made up of a bunch of guys who weren't on my roster in the beginning, or a guy like Travis Fulgham, who is a stud, was released by Detroit. Eagles picked him up. Eagles cut him and then brought him back. And then Howie wants to go, well, we found this guy, vanilla or chocolate. Shut up, Howie. You didn't find him. You cut him once and had to bring him back.
My thing is, how can you hate somebody for trying? It's like, it baffles my mind.
I can understand if Carson was out there like, let me just go to South Dakota and I don't know, that's not even South Dakota. How's South Dakota? Oh, how you doing, eh? No, that's more like North Dakota.
I don't think you know what they
Yeah, I don't know how I got
for somebody.
Yeah, I have to talk to some more Dakotians.
Let's go there for a vacay and see them.
Oh, I don't want to. Where do you want to go? It's a $900 plane ticket. Why? Because there's nothing in fucking North Dakota. Yeah, dude, they're expensive as hell out there.
There's probably one airport.
But it's terrible. Like, you hate a guy for trying?
Yeah.
Okay, get over yourself. Go have Andy Dalton as your quarterback. Or bring in Jalen Hurts, who's a career, 38% passer.
Bowls, honestly.
He deserves more credit than what he's getting, and it's pissing me off. He might single-handedly bring the team down sometimes, but he single-handedly brings them back. So, I'm sorry. Number 4, play calling. Doug, just do better with play calling. Get our boy Carson out there to roll out. Do something different. Jesus, with these dropbacks and these RPOs, they're not working, Doug. Change it up. Run the ball on first down when it's 1st and 10, not 2nd and 10 to get 2 yards and have it be 3rd and 8. Stupid. Number 3, Jim Schwartz. Figure it the fuck out. You have an elite defensive line. How you're not getting pressure out of these guys. I understand Fletcher Cox is getting double teamed and Hargrave missed a few games. Get these motors going before the game. Make them run through a fucking wall. Say something encouraging to your team. If your linebackers aren't playing well, fix it. Singleton's been good. Keep him in. Nate Jerry, go run a fucking track down 295, down to Baltimore, keep going down to Jacksonville and be with all the other pipsqueaks. Figure it out. That's for you, Mr. Schwartz. Number 2, Howie. Howie, you set this team up for failure. Year in and year out by the constant stupid moves and cap manipulation by giving Alshon Jeffrey that huge guaranteed money, bringing back a retread Deshaun Jackson, who's had 2 blown out legs for the past 10 years. You're killing this team. You have a franchise quarterback who can be elite and make the next steps, but you surround him with nothing. You trade Zach Ertz, which apparently Baltimore wanted him.
Yeah.
Baltimore and Green Bay, which would hopefully we get a decent return.
I was going to say that's...
It would be a nice return. And it's not that I hate Zach Ertz. It's just the fact I'm not paying him $10 million. And or 12 or 13 or whatever he wants to get. Especially with Travis Kelce and Kittle making a shit ton more. Excuse me. Beer's getting to me. I'm not paying him. That's just rule number 1. I'm not paying a tight end.
I still like him, though.
I like him. He's a great pass catcher, but that's pretty much all he does. I don't want a guy who catches the ball and falls down every single time.
Yeah.
He's afraid to get hit. Dude, take the skirt off, bro. And that's even a bad thing to say because I know more chicks in rugby who could kick my ass and his ass than I know football players. That's 100% factual. Toughen up. And I would like to say, number 1, I really hated the Barstool with picking on Giovanni Hamilton. He's a great kid from what I've seen. I've never talked to him. He has his own problems going on. I'm not speaking to what he's going through in his family, but I know he's gone through 16 surgeries. And for people to pick on a young kid and make fun of him for what he has is appalling. To make a reactionary video for Dak Prescott wishing him well, and then Barstool calling him out and all the scumbags writing all that fucked up shit and picking on him and bullying him, grow up. And that's the thing that pisses me off with social media and pisses me off with Twitter. People can post some really vile and hateful and fucked up shit.
Just hide behind a keyboard.
And hide behind a keyboard. Because it's never any... my pictures are on my thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm not hiding. This is my face. This is who I am. But I'm also not going to attack a little kid. I'm not going to attack anybody's character.
Definitely not.
Want to have an interesting discussion? We can do that. But you're going to pick on a young kid? There's millions of Eagles fans out there who will fly to wherever and stick up for this kid and kick your ass. Because this kid is more successful right now running his podcast, which is fantastic, than anybody I know out there trying to make a difference or trying to do something. And he always brings a smile to people's faces. So if you really want to pick on somebody, you have our email is drunkonbroadpodcast at gmail.com.
For real.
Send me all your hate mail, and I will send you a bunch of ball picks. Enjoy some droopy nuts, because I don't give a fuck. Leave the kid alone. He's a great kid, and he's making a difference and making people smile. So that's the 5 things that really pissed me off, that have pissed me off during this Eagle season.
All right, but let's go on to more positive things. What are
I got me real hot.
Yeah,
I was angry.
Yeah, you definitely
I got me angry.
got some thick sweats. But
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
but
I'm blaming it on the booze.
let's go. 5 things you're actually looking forward to this weekend. Philly sports or Eagles. I mean, really, only the Eagles are.
Honestly, Daryl Morey was awesome, so I'll give him number 5 right now. Daryl
Okay.
Morey. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
Getting Daryl Morey would be amazing. I believe we did get him.
Yeah, I'm 100% positive it's confirmed.
Let me just check that.
We're gonna use Google real quick.
Daryl Morey. I mean, anything can be better than the Colangelo boys that are still stuck up there. They're in advanced talks, conversations started shortly after his departure and escalated recently and will accumulate Morey becoming the Sixers' new president. Ooh. So that'd be awesome. Him and Doc have that strong relationship. I'm excited about Doc, number 4.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm just excited that I love Brett Brown, and I love what he was doing with these guys. I don't think he was put in a great spot. Elton Brand wanted to go big, and Brett wanted to do what everybody's doing, is resorting to shooting the 3. I just feel like their styles didn't mesh. But I hope Doc can get the most out of our young players, whip Ben and Joel into shape. See if we can move Horford around or Tobias. Just see what we can do. Maybe try to trade him, but that's why bringing in a guy like Morey will help, especially with negotiation talks. He can help Elton Brand become a better GM, and Doc Rivers' coaching is just fantastic. So I really enjoy that. Number 3, I'm just looking forward to Carson Wentz bouncing back and just kicking ass. I can't wait to see him throw 4 or 5 touchdowns against Dallas.
Weekend,
I hope it's a good weekend.
I mean, everything leads up to the Eagles having a favorable matchup against, the Cowboys, right?
Yeah.
But then again, we find ways to shoot ourselves in the foot, so that's always something to think about.
But we're looking on the bright
We're looking
side.
on the bright side.
So I'm going to go with that. Then number 2, I'm looking forward to our defense taking a step up, because I feel like this is going to be a good game, a good bounce back to get them some positive energy and to get them in the swing of things. Hopefully we get a few turnovers, get some picks, get some sacks, and maybe a nice little defensive touchdown. Just to gain confidence would be nice, and to help these guys along and help them to gel and mesh a little bit, especially these the young linebacking core that we have, and hopefully they get a chance to be in the spotlight. And number 1, I am looking forward to, after this season, hopefully having the Eagles have a new general manager, because I can't stand Howie Roseman, and I just think it's Fire Howie season. And that's pretty much it. And for the time that we have, I would like to thank everybody for bearing with us and coming back, hopefully watching and listening to Drunk on Broad. We will be back next week with a guest host, our main man, who used to write for NBC Sports, and you would see him all over the TV screen on Sixers Outsider with Tyrone Johnson, our man Paul Hudrick. He will be joining us next week, and it's going to be a great show. It's going to be interesting talking to somebody who's been there. We'll talk Sixers, we'll talk Eagles, we'll talk whatever else. Any inquiries, anything you want us to talk about, please hit our email at drunkonbroadpodcast@gmail.com. You can find me at DickieC620 on Twitter. And Oscar?
You can find me on Twitter as well. It's Oski Majima. Or just look up Oski. That comes up.
Follow us on Twitter at Drunk on Broad Podcast. And we would love to hear from you, get some feedback, and hopefully look forward to seeing you again. Adios.
Peace.